I have no idea what episode of the USS Reliant are currently on. It is a game built by friends who like telling stories, some former Foundry authors, some streamers, and just some people who really enjoy roleplay both in Star Trek Online and out of Star Trek Online. The game is based around Star Trek Online, where the crew of this ship takes a very varied and different story than the player character might encounter. I'm going to just say, go ahead and introduce yourselves. Start at the top and just work your way down. And say who you are and what you do. Kendra.
Elenis, you're muted.
She's having issues right this second.
Eli, introduce yourself.
I am Dr. Eli O'Connor, the ship's CMO, the most suave man on the ship.
Green Dragoon.
I'm Green Dragoon, and I am playing Ensign Janek Rosso, security officer, and only coincidentally, red shirt.
Hi, I'm Geraldine. I play Kara Junrani, the ship's con officer. Our ship is going to get giant crab claws soon. I'm totally going to try to melee a Borg cube.
And I'm Duncan Idaho. I play the ship's captain, Marcus Graves, as well as the ship's mascot, Lieutenant Dartigan.
And I am Cathmodian. I play the ship's science officer, Quentin Reynolds, and I do science to things.
And I am the chief engineer, playing, well, I am Bazak, but I play chief engineer Rick Tier, Thor, and I guess it's now time for our chief science person. Security. That's what I meant.
So,
actually, real quick, while Elenis is getting in, I should also mention that though you won't hear them, we also have present with us Starfarer Theta, who plays an exocomp gaining sentience called Oakley.
And I'm Elenis Kendra, playing Elenis Kendra, ship's Exo.
You'll also hear our friend, the grumpy old Nord, up in here as we get started at some point, and plays the ship's counselor, and Reliant has on it an All Faiths chapel, which he oversees as well. So, beginning tonight's adventure, crew has just spent 6 days traveling toward the neutral zone, toward Starbase K7. Report to Commander Naomi Wildman. She oversees operations in the neutral zone and has already sent ahead orders for chief security officer, or rather your chief tactical officer is going to be taken off of the ship. You have 2 new officers that are going to be coming on board, and this adventure begins just as the ship is beginning. It is the 7th day since they received word that they were to essentially their mission was changing to a search and rescue operation for ships lost in the combat within the neutral zone. And as the crew grew closer, Borg came, reports of Borg activity, and the beginnings of what you saw during Deep Space Nine, during the Dominion War, when there were the charts on the walls of the destroyed ships and the officers lost in the line of duty. And that now is just outside of what passes for the bar on board the Reliant. And as I said, we're going to be beginning on we're going to be beginning today's or tonight's adventure in that 7th day as the group is arriving, and we'll begin with the news as soon as the grumpy old Nord introduces himself.
Greetings and salutations, everyone. Chaplain is in.
So, the news as you arrive at K7, the news packet that you received a couple of hours ago already had a lot of bad information that wasn't really fun for anyone to discover. That and in addition to the Borg kind of scouting or probing squadrons into the Kerrat System, yesterday Borg cubes and spheres arrived in the Kerrat System, immediately launching a contingent to both moons, where at one of the moons a fight between a large Klingon carrier ship and an Odyssey class resulted in a huge chunk of one of the moons being kind of torn. The moon was torn off its axis because ships exploded, and that ship is of course listed as USS North Star. Although a very, very small number of crew survived, most certainly much of the command staff survived of that ship. And the news you get when you arrive at K7 is that the cubes and the spheres, in addition to assimilating a moon, well, both moons really, one is just no longer a full moon, they began to build something in space, and it seems to be sizable. And that was the last word you got before you arrived at K7. And what you're all hearing now is that it appears that the Borg are building a unimatrix in the Kerrat System. And your command staff is the commander of the station is requesting a meeting with your command staff. That can be held in your meeting room. One of those meetings where the admiral gives you the orders and she's on the screen, and you're sitting in your ship's senior staff meeting room. That's kind of the information that you guys have, and I'm going to open it up to whatever people would like to be doing when you arrive at K7, bearing in mind that your scheduled layover time is your scheduled stop time here is not more than 4 hours. So essentially you've got 4 hours here, with some of it being taken up by a meeting with the commander while your ship is undergoing refit. There you go, guys. That's where you would like to pick it up.
Wants to go to the ship's bar with me. Or not the ship, the station's bar with me.
Whately is already there and halfway on his way to a damn good drunk.
Well, I guess I'm joining him in the bar.
Kara is overseeing the arms being positioned and installed on her very, very precious to her Reliant.
Rick's just sort of flitting from project to project, keeping up aware of what's going on with the arms, what's going on with the Borg alcove, making sure the power level's right, checking this, checking that, just making sure everything is going is as up to standard as much as it can be.
Lieutenant Tardigrade is in his quarters having a spiritual journey after his encounter last time with Mothman.
Did you say Mothman?
Yeah, that was the last episode.
I wasn't there that night, and I still haven't. Okay, I need to listen to that episode, apparently.
Yeah, so, but Graves could be, let's say he's on the bridge.
I am going to be in sick bay, probably triple checking the triple redundancies that I've installed for this stupid alcove, and making sure I can't touch anything.
Okay. That puts Quentin in his science blues in the med bay, and you hear a female voice behind you, but it's got a timbre and an echo in it, Quentin. And you hear, "Are you Dr. Eli O'Connor?"
No, I'm not certain where he is right now. You can check with his orderly over there. I'm afraid I can't be much help.
I see you're working on my alcove, and when you turn to look at her,
I actually probably bang my head when
because as pointed out, she's not. Her picture is here. There we go. I'll put it in game time chat. That is the person standing behind you. Skin is extraordinarily pale and doesn't seem to have any of the normal pigmentation that skin should have. It looks like she's been drained of that. And she has what amounts to a very large Borg headpiece on the left side of her head that has what you can immediately tell, being a science officer, it has a kind of an onboard medical scanner, and that's what the large kind of almost like radar dish off of the side there. It moves around kind of on its own. So she's looking at you, and that little radar dish thing is moving around, and the eye is not currently shining red. And you can also tell the light within it is not red, it is blue. She says, "I see you are working on my alcove."
Yes, we've got just about everything locked down, and it's ready to use. Just making sure everything is ship shape.
She walks over to the alcove without another word to you, touches the side of it with the hand that has another scanner on it. This looks more like a readout scanner. It almost looks as if this is Starfleet technology that is interfacing with Borg tubes that come from underneath of and through the arms of her medical jacket. And the hand has that kind of 7 of 9 style covering over it, where it like laces down the fingers, and she touches the sides of the alcove and says, "This will do quite nicely. Please, if there is a way to inform Dr. O'Connor that I am here, I should like to meet my new what would she call him? I should like to meet my new
colleague.
colleague. Yes, colleague would be the right word. She says, I should like to meet my new colleague.
Computer, locate Dr. O'Connor.
The computer beeps back and tells you that Dr. O'Connor is currently on board Deep Space K7 in the K7 lounge.
Well, I'm afraid that he's not on the ship at the moment.
Let's see. I shall make myself at home. And she sets down the smallest, she didn't come in carrying any kind of, suitcase. She has a small, briefcase-sized case that she brought in with her that has a little bit of, it looks like the locking technology has a little bit of Borg technology in it, and she sets it down in place next to the operating table, and the light on her eye comes on, and she begins to scan the operating table.
I am going to finish up my final scans and make my way out the door, rubbing my head absently and just not avoiding her, but avoiding her.
Okay, that makes total sense. She is a little bit
intense. Let's go with intense.
Okay, go with intense. That works. And
Kendra passes.
Okay, go ahead.
Kendra passes Quentin, rubbing his head in the hall. You okay, hon?
I just met our new doctor.
Okay. Is she in the sick bay?
She is. I believe she's waiting for our CMO to come back.
Come back? Where'd he go?
I believe he's caught a case of shore leave.
Oh dear. All right. Well, I guess I should go greet her. I'll see you in a bit.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to cut up to the bridge. Kara, best place to monitor the things that they are putting onto your ship is either in the actual phase where they replace the pods, or from your station on the bridge. Where would you prefer to be?
Kara's going to be on her station on the bridge.
Okay.
Marcus is here on the bridge too. Is Ensign Moon on the bridge?
He is. He's at his normal seat, which is about 6 feet off to the left of you. Go right ahead.
Ensign Moon, could you do me a favor and come over and take over for me? I want you to take a look at these calibrations. She stands up.
He heads over and sits down. Did you leave anything specifically for him to find, or, you just want
specifically, it's just showing the power levels going to the arms as they're being installed. She was getting ready to actually say some more. I just want you to know, Ensign, that due to my security training, I'm likely to be called away on an away team on this mission. When that happens, you're going to be in charge of piloting the ship. I have complete faith in you.
Thanks. These arms are going to be a hell of a thing.
They will be
Really.
indeed.
That's all he says when he's really checking how the power levels are working, and he says it's gonna feel heavy. And you realize, go ahead and make a Kara Junrani character sheet. Where is that? There it is. Let's see. Make an insight and command roll. Your target number is 12. And humans don't count as animals, so you don't get a focus on it. It's nothing hyper important, so,
One success and one barely fail.
That's fine. With one success, you don't build any momentum, but you recognize something that don't know if Kara does it, but she recognizes suddenly that this pilot does. when he said that, he wasn't like just, using a turn of phrase. You get the feeling that he like feels the ship. He says it's going to feel heavy. He's not kidding. Like there's something there about that. So,
Kara smiles. Kara smiles and pats him on the shoulder. Don't worry, you can handle it. I know you might have been a little upset lately that I've been teaching, Oakley to help fly the ship, but please don't think that your position is in any danger. You've had 4 years of academy training. Oakley has had maybe 30 hours. We're still going to need you for a very long time, Ensign.
I hope so. I don't have many other skills. And he laughs, and sorry about that. Plate noises happened. I apologize.
She laughs. We'll work on that later, Ensign.
As you're finishing your conversation with him, the turbo lift doors slide open, and Bruce Maddox walks onto the bridge. Although you know that it's not Bruce Maddox, it is, however, Bruce Maddox at that age, wearing a Sierra uniform. One that a lot of people consider. It's just like the one you saw around before they really made Odysseys everything's uniform. So he's wearing security red. It's got the security red shoulder, not full shoulders, but kind of like shoulder. I don't know how to describe it. I know which uniform I'm thinking of. Let me see if I saved a picture of it wisely. Did I save a picture of it wisely?
I'll just go ahead and say that when it comes to reacting to Bryce, Kara is going to be following Marcus's lead.
I did not save a picture of it, but he steps onto the bridge and he says, Lieutenant Junior Grade Bryce, reporting for duty, Captain.
I am Lieutenant Bryce.
Still standing at he has stepped off of the turbo lift, but has not stepped farther onto the bridge.
Do you have anything to report?
I'm here and ready to do my job, Captain.
Get to it then.
I can coordinate the security staff from here on the bridge while monitoring a good deal of our tactical data at the same time. And he walks over to the tactical station, relieving Jenik Rosso. Jenik, you're the first one to see it. This is the spot in the campaign where the players have gotten their lifetime subscription Android and their pre-order target Borg bridge officer. I just mixed up what their careers were. He is fast. He calls up and reads the not the tactical schedules. He calls up and reads the security schedules super fast, rearranges them into 6 4-hour shifts so that people do not work very long and then they get a long rest between. He seems hyper efficient, and he is smiling very broadly. He's quite happy.
Jenik is just thinking to himself, I hope he ran this all past Kendra.
That's some very impressive work, sir.
You're seeing it happen because you have you hook up to security some on your console, Kara. Yeah, he's not instituting them. He's rearranging them to present to the command staff as the option he most likes for security. It means that for the 4 hours that they are on, security is always what's the word? Alert. There you go. Security is always alert for the 4 hours at a time that they are on. They do 4 hours on, 8 hours off. 4 hours on.
Kara walks over to Bryce and leans in closely so that probably only she and the captain can hear. Just a couple words of advice, sir. I realize you're a senior officer, but please keep in mind that we don't stand on ceremony here. And if one thing I should tell you right now, don't ever ask for permission to do your job. She grins at him.
He smiles. Oh, I apologize. I hadn't even thought to ask permission. Captain,
That's good.
He says, Captain, I'm devising a potential new security rotation that I have found has worked wonders in my previous assignment at the Academy.
Understood. Although I'll say that you should run that by Kendra before instituting any changes, although I see you've already marked that off suggestion, so exactly. I think this is something, like, he's just sort of processing everything as it's happening, also making note of where Lieutenant Tardigrade fits along that that line, and just making sure that he actually made it onto the list, just in case he didn't get picked for the team. So, yeah, Marcus just says, this is just something to run by the senior staff at our next major briefing, or you can just send this over to Kendra for her review. And
when you say you could just send this over to Kendra, as you're saying for your review, he says done.
Excellent.
I'll discuss matters with the XO when I have time. Until then, I assume we're at station keeping until we're briefed.
Correct. Although if you want to run any other security checks on ship systems, specifically ship information systems and data security, that would be appreciated.
Once again, Janik, you've do you remember the episode where we first saw how fast Data was when he was replacing the isolinear chips in engineering? And he was like, they just made his hands do like the best that the 1990 Flash could do. Basically, that's the kind of speed with which he is calling up the things that the captain just said. He's ridiculously efficient.
And I'm going to imagine that synthetic life forms are not super common. So this may well be the first time that Janik has seen an android.
He is a Maddox Series 2 android life form. There are 5 of him. It's like because I went with Picard. I said, hey, if the synth home planet, was making 5 of them at a time in groups of 5, there are 5 of Maddox Series 2. The Series 1 looked like old Maddox. The Series 2 looks like young Maddox. So that will lead us into the sick bay again, and then I promise we're going to the bar. To the sick bay, where Lennis, you walk in and see your new medical officer. Her eye that is her eye that glows is glowing blue, and she is scanning the operating table, and she's making notes on a pad. Does not register your presence when you walk in. The male Tellarite nurse that we've never named, he comes over and he goes, "So, what can I do for you?"
Oh, not too much. Dr. 3, I presume?
Her head, she moves almost robotically. Her head comes up almost robotically, and she turns to look at you and says, it looks like it takes the that comes off of her right eye. Her eye, by the way, you can see does not have a pupil. It is just kind of a grayish, solid color, and there are those. There's that that stretches out to her forehead, and you see the blue lights blink on that for a moment, and she tilts her head in just very, very slightly, and she says, "Executive Officer Lennis Kendra, I presume."
Yes.
And it seems as if the "I presume" was it's not hard to tell. Kendra's a security officer good at reading people. She said it because you said it.
Uh-huh.
She may not even fully that's not normal for her to say.
Are the facilities suitable for your needs?
Absolutely. He says, absolutely. I would like to make some upgrades to one of the biobeds, but I do wish to speak with the doctor before beginning any such modifications. There are simply extraction devices that can be installed on the biobed to make the work go faster.
You might also want to speak with our chief engineer, Rick Tier, just about the technology side of that and how it would interface with our ship.
It's all Starfleet technology.
Very good. Is there anything that you need? Well, welcome to the ship.
He stares at you without a thank you, and just continues to look at you.
Kendra shifts awkwardly to her other foot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess I will take my leave. If you need anything, be sure to let me know.
Understood. And she looks back down at the table and begins to scan it again with that blue light.
Kendra stands there awkwardly for a second watching her and then turns and walks away.
As Kendra leaves, can Rick T come in, followed by...
Absolutely. Rick, you're walking in to do your final check on you know that that Quentin had checked on the power systems earlier, and you were just going to make sure, your final checks. Everything's done, but you want to make sure that this is right. So you walk into the sick bay and you see Nurse. Let's give this Tellarite a name. Male Tellarite nurse. What's his name, anyone?
Had a name already.
No, but I can't remember it. We'll have to listen back to old episodes and find it.
No, one of the things he was on K7 for is he was getting a name change.
That must be it. When you walk in, Rick, he goes, "Oh, just getting all the senior officers in here today. You have a headache, a hangnail, anything I can help you with?"
Just for doing final checks. Nothing medically needed.
Talking. Kind of not very subtly, but of course Dr. 3 does not notice. He not very subtly nods his head in her direction. He's like, "I don't think she likes talking." And he goes back to his work, and you see her moving from the biobed that she was scanning to a third biobed that exists in there.
So he sort of looks at her for a moment and then looks to Oakley and decides just to run his task before actually going to talk to her.
Okay. As I said, your final checks everything was perfect This was just I'm going to make sure everything is perfect.
Yeah. It's just mostly like a quick, just making sure everything is, just checking diagnostics, making sure everything is in expected parameters. Everything is. So it doesn't take long, and Oakley, like, he confirms with Oakley that they're both getting the same readings, and notes down that the final check was done before looking over towards the doctor and approaching.
Okay. You approach. She So do you know that creepy thing where Borg don't react to you unless you are a threat? Like they would literally you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You walk right over to him and walk right over to her, and she has not yet looked up from the work that she is doing. She's not exceptionally fast like the android on the bridge is. She is efficient, and she is noting. Basically, there are 4 biobeds that she's scanning. She's done with 2 of them. She's scanning the 3rd, and it looks to you like she's checking which ones are the best for upgrading. Everything you see on her pad device is Starfleet technology. He's not looking at trying to upgrade the biobeds with Borg technology or anything. You're right up in her business, and she has not yet looked up.
Excuse me.
She you know that movement of that you almost hear it. You almost hear the metal in her move as she straightens and turns to look at you. She says, "Can I help you? Are you injured?"
No, I would just like to introduce myself. I am Chief Engineer Rick Tier.
Here. And she when you say I am Chief Engineer, she says Rick Tier at the exact same time that you do. Says, "I am Dr. 3.
A pleasure to meet you. This is Oakley, and he motions to the exocomp. Also, officially designated...
Robotic Engineering Unit.
Yes, officially designated. I can't remember what his official designation is. But everyone calls him Oakley, and he responds to it.
Oakley. Understood.
I take it everything is satisfactory to your needs here?
Oh, absolutely. You merely have to consult my colleague, Dr. O'Connor, to find out which of these biobeds he would be most amenable to upgrading. That when she says he would be most amenable to upgrading, we cut to Dr. O'Connor walking into. He thought, he was like, "Hey, I'm going to the bar," and Club K7 is, and it's really literally called Club K7. It's down at the end of a hallway. The signs that you're following also point toward sick bay being in this direction, and experimental technology being in this direction. And when you walk in, there are large tables with people from a couple of different ships, and you realize that when you did come into station keeping, there were multiple ships in station keeping around this place. There's a long bar immediately off to your left. It's got a couple of Starfleet officers at it. I'll make that a few because there's 2 guys at one end of the bar who they look a little bit drunk, not like bad drunk. Whately is sitting at the end of the bar, and it looks like he's really into his cups already. he's been down here a bit already, and the two of you now are in the K7 bar. There is music playing in the background. It's synthetic, and it's not it's not any of the popular bands that play around the galaxy.
I guess I'm gonna join Waitley, sit next to him.
Waitley is sitting at a booth. Normally, people who know Waitley, when he goes out in public, he typically finds somewhere kind of off to the side in a corner. He's very much sits in the dark corner of the room with his back to the wall kind of guy, and he's sitting at the bar, and you can see a number of empty bottles or cups, whatever, in front of him, and he's just. If you look closely at him, you can see his beard is slowly coming back in from the Rycian incident, and it looks like it's glistening, like almost you would think he's been crying, and he's literally just hunched over the bar, occasionally looking around, and he just keeps taking drink after drink after drink, and he sees Dr. O'Connor walk in, and he I don't think anybody has ever seen Waitley express enthusiasm, but when he sees Eli, he's just like, Eli, sit with me, please.
I sit with him. Yep, I sit with him.
He waves for the bartender to bring another round. He says, "How are you, my friend? I haven't seen you in a little bit. I'm sorry I missed the party." And I'm sure you notice he is using contractions very heavily, and he's slurring his speech a little bit. He's like, "I'm sorry, I missed your party. I had some things come up that I had to deal with, and then this." And when he says that word, this, his eyes kind of widen, and he just gets that look on his face of just absolute terror and pain.
Let me give you I love where you're going with it, but let me give you a role-playing bit to add in there too, because Waitley has trouble turning off his empathy and telepathy. He picks up on the feelings and the general state of people around him, and you've just spent 6 days on the Reliant as things got worse as you approached this star base. And now that you've arrived, once you beamed off of the Reliant onto the transporter pads of this star base, everyone here is nervous, sad, scared. Some people are terrified. It makes a bit of sense that Waitley is trying to drown that out potentially. I don't know.
No, that's exactly what I was going for, and I was wondering if anybody was gonna. I figured you would, but I was wondering if anybody would put those dots together. But yeah, that's exactly. It's not a matter of he has trouble turning it off. He cannot turn it off. That's why he loves this so much.
So this is a very different feeling. There you go, guys.
Like this is a Waitley no one has ever seen before. We'll put it that way.
I will pop in when Eli's comm badge goes off because Alennis is signaling him. Kendra is signaling him.
I just also want to add, Eli is also an empath, so he's feeling this too. I knew where this was going.
Mm-hmm. That's why Waitley was so happy to see you. It was just like, oh my God, the other person that gets this. Sit, drink with me.
Okay, I take.
Go ahead.
I was going to say I take the seat next to North.
Since they just hang on, let them have a little bit of a conversation, because I was kind of timing when you should call them. So
Waitley downs the drink he already had halfway drunk and sets it aside, and hopefully the bartender has come over. I imagine the bartender is just like giving him a really odd look, especially since he doesn't know Whately at all, or they don't know Whately at all.
So,
But,
your take on this bartender, because you saw him while you were sober as you got drunk. Your take on this bartender. This is a space station full of broken people right now. He doesn't know who more than half of them are. There are a number of ships in station keeping around here. And while the two of you are there talking and drinking, no, he's a big human guy, with kind of a handlebar mustache thing going on. And
somebody's been playing Red Dead.
no, I've been watching Red Dead. And the you get that his general attitude is he gets it. He gets it. He's not as scared as everybody else. If you focus just on the bartender, you won't be picking up on as much of the terror that people on the station and the fear and such, because it feels like he's safe on K7. Probably. He's very happy to be serving a lot of alcohol right now.
All right. I'm sorry, I got distracted by game chat. I
did too. Yay.
Yeah. So Whately takes. I don't know what the hell he's drinking. He's like, give me something strong and make it green.
He grabs two bottles from behind the bar. One of them has liquid in it, and one of them has kind of this whiskey-colored liquid in it. He pours them both into your glass and slides the glass forward, looks at you, Eli, and says, "Same."
No, I'm gonna take some rice whiskey.
Puts those two bottles back. Goes over to he goes over to a replicator. And he replicates just as he's about to press the replication, he turns his head over his shoulder. He says, "Hot?"
Yes.
Over at you, and he brings you a sake shooter, and like a large. You know what I'm talking about. He's got a large pour and sake shooter that he can. You now have your drink.
I look at it, I say, well, I asked for rice whiskey, but this will do. And yes, rice whiskey is a very different thing from sake. It's delicious. Anyway, I look at Nord like, you're feeling it pretty bad, ain't you?
He just looks at you for a moment. He doesn't say anything. He gets that typical Whately look on his face, that I don't know. How do we describe the perception of Whately's expressions? He's very stoic, very quiet. He's very he's always very serious. He gets that expression. He gets that demeanor for a moment, and then, without saying a word, like his demeanor doesn't change, but you see tears rolling down his cheeks again, and he just kind of nods and downs his drink and says, "I need another one."
Understood.
Bartender pours you another one.
Then he stops, and he has like this flash on his face, like a sudden realization, and he almost looks pissed off. He's like, "Eli, I am a terrible friend. How are you doing?"
I'm better than you are, it would seem, but listen, there's an old Earth saying, sort of a parody, I don't know, but basically it's like who shaves the barber that only shaves people that don't shave themselves? Like, who's going to counsel the counselor? And whiskey, I gotta say, isn't the right answer to this question.
Who's going to counsel the counselor? And whiskey, I gotta say, isn't the best answer to this. Isn't the best answer to this. And Eli, your comm badge goes off. Kendra, what do you say?
A very oblivious Kendra comes across. Dr. O'Connor, may I inquire as to where your location is? I know you're off right now.
I am on K7. I'm here with Chaplain Whately. We're having a Reliant medical meeting. Since he's the counselor, I'm the CMO. We gotta figure some things out. I give Whately a look as I say that.
Kendra, you do know that the meeting in your ship's meeting room with the station commander is happening in 15 minutes. It'll take them about 5 to get back.
Have you had a chance to meet our new doctor yet?
New doctor? I think I might have read something about that. No, I have not.
Like I said, I know you're off right now, but when you get a minute, you might want to swing by the sick bay and meet her, preferably before our next meeting.
And when is that meeting?
About 15 minutes.
I think I'll have to meet her after the meeting, but because I'm not going to be back there in 15 minutes.
You said Chaplain Whately's there with you?
Yes, he is.
Chaplain, I now call Chaplain Whately's communicator.
Mm-hmm. He can hear you through mine, though.
Yeah, he says, "I'm here. I can hear you. Speak."
Have you had a chance to meet either of our two newest acquisitions to the crew yet?
Negative, though. I'm sure their names will show up on my counseling log in the near future.
All right, well, enjoy that drink, gentlemen. I'll see you in a few minutes.
By the way, when Eli's comm badge chirped, he would have gotten a vibe from Whately that he wanted to grab it off of his shirt and toss it.
But wait, before Whately went to the station, he did know that this meeting was coming up. Unfortunately, Eli can sober you up.
I want to test something. Whately, knowing what's going on and everything, and him being who he is, mm-hmm. Whately's going to try something. And I think this would only work, and this is Whately's thought, is this will only work because Eli's only had a couple drinks. Whately's going to try to sober Eli up his way.
Oh my goodness,
I haven't even taken a sip of my drink yet.
Oh, in that case, never mind. But oh my God, that would have been hilarious.
That would be very funny. I really like that that moment of bonding between the medical staff. That was Baz can edit out me saying that was awesome.
You should hear a counseling log.
I still need to upload that goddamn thing, by the way.
Oh, sorry. We had some static that totally overrode what you just said. We didn't hear any of it.
Oh goodness. And so, Marcus, people are coming to the meeting. You pretty much know that the mission you were called here for is search and retrieval and search and rescue. You don't know if the things don't know if the Borg building a unimatrix is changing your mission. Don't know what to expect exactly from the commander when she comes on screen. And everybody is beginning to make their way to the meeting room. I'm sorry, Dragoon, for you're not part of the senior staff yet.
Nope.
And
I am heading to the tactical council.
Yep. And as Eli and Whately are making their way to the transporter. That you guys are going to be there. It's not a problem. You'll make it. You'll make it even a couple minutes early. You see Larissa stepping off of the transporter pad with her. She's got a large personal items case, hanging over her shoulder. Sees the two of you and says, "Dr. Kaplan."
Wait, I'm sorry, I was typing something
Larissa.
out. Okay.
Larissa, your Xindi Reptilian Chief Tactical Officer. She steps off of the transporter and she says, "Doctor, counselor," and looks at say Larissa, and she kind of that's the recognition of each other, and she looks over at you, Waitley, and she says, "Don't try to talk to them the way that you talk to them. I like you too much."
He does the typical head tilt and raises an eyebrow and says, "Interesting. Please explain what you mean exactly."
Try to get into their heads. Kaplan.
I am a counselor and a trained psychotherapist. That is literally my job. Oh, you meant the other thing, didn't you?
Yeah. Meant the Borg. Try to get into their heads. I like you too much, counselor. And then, surprising both of you, Larissa kisses Chaplain Waitley and then just walks away to her. She walks away through the main kind of foyer area of K7 and walks over to Saurian, who is standing, who greets her, and a couple of other people who the two of you could only guess those are ground pounders. That's a unit of ground pounders right there. That's the Gropos. She's walking over to join them.
Okay, I have one quick, slightly irrelevant question. Where exactly did she kiss Waitley?
Right on the lips.
And this is after he sobered up or before?
No, you're still drunk.
Oh, he kisses her back. Yeah. He gives her tongue.
Yeah. Awesome. And Eli is left to having, he just saw that as she walks over to the Gropos, and she's off on her mission. Actually, she kisses him. She looks at you, Eli, and she says, "Oh, everyone, that good luck." And off she goes. And at that, all of you begin to arrive in the meeting. And those of you who have not yet met Dr. 3, I imagine that Kendra and Marcus and Kara, having been on the bridge, were probably and Quentin would have probably been on his way back up to the bridge at that point. You all are there when Dr. 3 arrives. She walks in with a pad. She walks in with a pad in hand, kind of scans the table a little bit, and almost not with her blue scanny ray, but she looks over the table and does the count in her head for how many people already serve on this ship, and she sits exactly far enough away that she will not be taking a seat that any of the other senior staff would have taken. And when she sits down, she looks across the table and she says, "Captain, I'm Dr. 3.
I'm sitting next to Waitley. I just whisper to him.
You're going to walk in and see her. You're the last two to arrive. You're still
early. We were going to be early. Okay, never mind.
You're still early, but you'll still be the last two to arrive. And those of you walking in will also see the android officer who looks like a young Bruce Maddox. He is sitting with great posture. is one way to put it, and he is sitting in what normally would have been Larissa's seat, if this meeting had been, going on. And his hands are palms down on the table, and he has said a couple of things since he got here. Yes, his name is Bryce. He is Lieutenant Junior Grade Bryce. And he has said a couple of things since he arrived, and he says, Commander, to Kendra, he says, Commander, I sent you a proposal when I served on the security staff at Starfleet Academy. I had great success working in 4-hour shifts, giving people 8 hours of rest in between. Keep security officers, who are some of our most important in keeping all of us safe, gives them a better alertness for the hours that they are on. Shift. It's an adjustment. I've included it all in the report. And that's one thing that he said. And he said, do we know what to, and he also said, do we know what to expect, Captain? Right before Waitley and Eli walk in, and that's all of you, except for Janik, having made your way to the conference room. Dr. 3 is sitting far enough away that she's not taking any of the seats you guys would have. And, young Bruce Maddox in a tactical uniform is sitting in Larissa's seat.
Kara moves over to sit next to Bryce, which is not terribly unusual for where she would normally sit. She looks over at Dr. 3 and nods her head slightly. You must be Dr. 3. You don't look like you get a lot of sunlight.
That is irrelevant to my profession.
In that case, where do you get all your vitamin D from?
She says, that is irrelevant to my profession, and the Borg nanites in my system more than enough to sustain me.
Cool.
Marcus at this point is very strongly stifling a face bomb. He's trying to hold it together. I don't know if it'll last.
As I walk,
I do wonder what Bryce's reaction is to this, because now he's getting a sense for what our crew is like.
As me and Waitley walk in, I whisper to him, when did we get an extra seat? This should have been in the last meeting.
You guys all had
Did
take
you
your
not
seats,
get the memo?
and Marcus, you get the signal that the communication from Starbase is ready to come through. And you also see the certification, not the certification. You see the notification on your journal at the front of the table that the refits to Reliant systems will be finished in precisely 25 minutes. And the ship is set to launch 30 minutes after that.
Marcus just acknowledges the message at the station is waiting and says on screen.
When the Admiral comes on screen, per usual.
It's not an Admiral. In fact, it is not an Admiral.
Commander of the Starbase?
Do you guys remember what Naomi Wildman looked like in Voyager?
Nope.
She was the little blonde kid.
Yep, she was the little blonde kid. Let's see. Let me see if I can.
Little spine ridges on her forehead.
Yeah, little ridges, and then also I think a little. Oh, there you go.
Bones and spikes.
But that's the one from in game, and that one's actually not. It doesn't look very much like her, actually.
Well, she still outranks Kara, so I'm still going to go with my original idea of Kara stands and salutes before sitting back down.
Oh, okay. That works really well. She's even in kind of the, well, not for this. She's not in the right colored uniform, and she's also in like a Voyager uniform. But see, I got something. An adult Naomi Wildman. So yeah, she's got these little ridges down her forehead. She has a somewhat forced smile. And she says, Captain Graves, all of you, thank you for making time to meet with me before your launch. I'm afraid with the loss of the USS North Star yesterday, the Reliance mission remains the same. However, you should be on extensive guard. Captain Crew, Rot is no longer anything resembling safe. There are far too many Borg ships to make any sort of military action actually possible. I'm sorry, am I cutting out?
You're good for me. I
was
haven't
going to
noticed
say,
anything,
not on
but-
my end.
I go, yeah, sorry about the fork noise. I was just
Yeah, Kendra might just want to refresh.
Cool. And she
Oh, we
says, our mission is search and repair. However, there are a number of ships that we've sent into the Kerrat System. Your sister ship, the Basilope, was dispatched not an hour ago. Is with orders to find a way to shut that unimatrix down. It is not yet operational. All of our scans tell us that. There are new structures going up by the hour, and the latest appears to be some beginnings of building a transwarp conduit into the Kerrat System. Any Starfleet escape pods, any Starfleet survivors you find out there, it's your job. Wreckage. The other problem we're running into, Graves, is wreckage out there.
We got a good pair of grappling arms to help deal with that. So
That is why we put them on your ship. The Klingons have been scavenging, and they are, as you know, quite adept at using cloaking technology. I don't know what more I can say about that except to make sure that you're ready.
Yep, we are, and we're ready to head out at any time.
The new doctor says, Commander, if we encounter assimilated Starfleet officers, what are your orders? And the command and Naomi Wildman, that kind of forced smile disappears from her face a little bit, and she says, "That is why I put you on this mission, Doctor. If there's anything you can do for them, do it."
So is that the end of the communication?
She waits for any questions or things you have to say.
We'll do our best, Captain. We've got a good crew. We've got a well-prepared ship. And, yeah, we'll just see what magic we can make of this.
Don't worry, ma'am. There's no debris in the universe that can stop me from getting through.
She kind of smiles again. Even looking at the picture of her as an adult, as a commander, she's still a fairly young woman, like in her early 30s, and think that she catches that moment of maybe if you were in the same room with her, or unstoppable, call it, or unstoppable hopefulness might infect her if you were in the same room. But as it is, she manages another weak smile, and she says, "7 is here, whatever you need, Captain." And the communication is cut, and now you guys have a senior officers meeting knowing what's out there.
So at this point, Marcus just snaps his finger and says, "All right, Quentin, Maddox, I want you to try to find some way of isolating drones that we beam aboard the ship from the Borg collective."
Maddox, Quentin, you're always really quick on being able to find things, and so you start looking at where you'll be able to isolate Borg drones and where you'll have the power to do that. And no, he doesn't go by Maddox. Actually, he doesn't respond. He goes by Bryce.
Oh, so Marcus has that moment of awkwardness, and that's okay, Bryce, Quentin, I want you to figure out a way of isolating drones from the Borg collective. That might help us in dealing with anything that we bring on board, since we definitely don't want things taking directions if we're dealing with a salvage operation. So coordinate with Rick and Kendra as you see fit, but I also want them to be working on security measures for any fallback measures that we need on board this ship. Also, Janik, tactical options would also be appreciated for how to deal with a situation that gets away with us. So fallback options, and enlist Lieutenant Tardigrade as you see fit.
Janik's not actually in the meeting.
Oh, god dang it, I thought we were just on the bridge. Okay.
If I may,
Quentin,
Kara raises a hand. Kendra, I've actually gone ahead and done some quick investigation. We currently have enough armored vests and Type 3 phasers to outfit a fairly large away team. If we're having to do anything resembling an actual assault, though, we'll need to replicate more resources.
Go ahead and do that.
Aye, ma'am. I will pass the orders along.
Rick and Quentin, Bryce sent both of you. Both of you guys still have one cargo bay that is not taken up by mission-specific refits, and he has sent both of you his initial thought. By the time that everybody else is still speaking, he sent to you that he thinks that cargo bay 1, because it's the only one you have right now, is probably your best option for reinforcing and trying to isolate the Borg. It's not something that he is a specialist in. So, but yeah, he sent that to Rick and Quentin, and
so that leaves Waitley, Eli, and 3.
Mm-hmm.
So I want them to be working on measures to quickly isolate, or to quickly not necessarily do a full recovery on a Borg drone or a simulated Starfleet officer or crew member, but the most efficient course of action to effectively dislink them from the collective so they can effectively be reasoned with right away.
Okay. Eli, make a medical roll. Let's see what a medical roll is for Eli. Let me have a quick look here. Eli O'Connor, character sheet. Is your reason, which is 10, and your medicine, which is 4. It is 14. And you have a focus in it, so your criticals happen on 4 or below.
I did not realize I was muted. I was just talking.
You should be rolling.
Okay, so I was just clarifying. 14 you said for the thing?
14 is the target number, and 4 and below are your criticals.
Okay, Baz, I put the 4 right after the 14 when I roll, right?
Correct. So it's 14 space 4.
One success. With one success, you're certain that Dr. 3 is asking you the right question as people begin to start to talk in these little groups, and she looks across the table at you, Eli, and she says, "Doctor, if we outfit." I was thinking of requesting outfitting one of the medical beds. If we outfit more than one of the medical beds with this technology, and she sends you the file. It's something that you have not seen before, and the clearance on it. You haven't seen it before, not because you don't have clearance, but the clearance on it is related to a medical project. A medical project coming out of the Daystrom Institute, and it is information on. Basically, do you remember when the team was on that planet some time ago, and Jenik Rosso, the security officer, scored like 2 or 3 critical successes or something on a roll to remove the link from the Borg that was on the planet, and she's got access to Starfleet technology, Daystrom technology. It's not Borg. Nothing about it is Borg. She has access to the plans to update the medical beds, so you can yank out their connection to the collective really fast, but it's really painful. And that's your thought about it, but she has like a completely emotionless expression about it. She's sending you that information. She says, "I think that would be our best option."
I would have to disagree. This is just, it seems far too unnecessary. Just the amount of pain it would put the patient through.
The patient would not remember the pain. I don't.
Can I see like if there's like a permanent sort of effect on it too? Like, is it going to like scar them or something too?
Absolutely. Roll that exact same number again.
Okay.
One success. There is no, from what you can see, there is, the issue will be, the only issue you can possibly see with it is counselors' work may be a little bit harder because of the quickness with which they are removed from a collective mind. Not a psychiatrist, however. You're a medical doctor, just like her. And again, it is, emotionless when she looks at you across the table and says, "They will not remember the pain." I don't. let us discuss what we can do at the very least to assist the captain's desires to be able to disconnect them quickly. And she stands and waits. It looks like she's deferring to you on when to leave, Dr. O'Connor. You notice something. She has no pips on her uniform, her doctor's coat. She's a civilian officer.
I see.
Oh, you guys got a civvy. Daystrom Institute, obviously Starfleet officer. Elite. So, with your with the things that we were just discussed underway, with an hour and a half into the game, which is perfect. I'm going to take a break to get a little bit more water, and the Reliant is we're cutting to break as the Reliant boats away from station keeping at K7, and you can see your you can see your sister ship, the Toledo, which is an Aventine class. It's a beautiful, beautiful ship. Is still at station keeping at K7 as you leave on what is going to be a very quick trip, and you'll be warping into Kerrat System. No, it's the Toledo. It is an Aventine class. And off Reliant warps with the Kerrat System. The dice fall where they may. This is the Borg, because all of you are at your stations. Janet, you are actually at the tactical station because Bryce, he seems capable of being a tactical officer. He is coordinating ship security teams at the moment from the console sitting in the back. And in sickbay, in the 20 minutes, 15 minutes it takes you to warp to the Kerrat System, K7. In 10 minutes, Dr. 3, when you arrive back in sickbay, and actually, that's because I didn't put my microphone down.
I've done that many times before.
Yep. And even as you walked down to the sickbay, noting your initial reluctance to
wait, good question. Are we recording?
Yes, we're right.
Awesome. Good question. I'm noting your initial reluctance to removing the link. Basically, it's like a link chip inside of that's located in their spine. Like it looks painful. What she wants to, what her idea was. And noting your initial reluctance, she says, our second best option is to perform the surgeries using more traditional tools in whatever security, engineering, and sciences come up with to contain the Borg. Have medical teams present there.
Speaking of which, actually, I believe that both Eli and Marcus did actually have a little bit more on that to say.
Okay. Well,
I didn't necessarily mean now.
Oh.
Like, she would have said that to you, Eli, walking toward the sickbay. Like, she obviously has multiple ideas on what to do to drones that you're trying to unassimilate.
Much less painful and permanent,
much,
like scarring?
much less painful, much slower. That's the issue. It does. She, in fact, as 3 would say it, she says it is much slower, much less traumatizing. Or actually, she doesn't say traumatizing. She says much less painful.
Then we'll do that one.
She bats it. Like she taps her pad so that your pad has it. It's basically the Daystrom Institute's medical, what field kits you're going to need to pack for your medical team to take to where, it's going to be Cargo Bay 1, but you're going to want to send a couple of medical teams down there to 2 per team work on the drones as they arrive. If they arrive that way. I mean, I'm certain they probably might. Warp space is flashing across the main viewer, and warp space is not flashing across the main viewer.
The instant the ship comes out of warp, Kara's already unfolding the arms because she's heard that this place is full of debris.
I don't know if I doubt any of your characters had much reason to come to a mining colony close to the Federation side of the neutral zone, but you would have seen in the reports what this place looked like before. Doesn't look like that now. You see hanging between these 2 moons gigantic Borg structures with what would they be called? The things that would be being built to connect these gigantic structures. Beams. There are some built connecting structures. Some in the process of being built, and as soon as you come into the system, Ice says, "Magnify, Captain." For what you're seeing on the screen, you see this unimatrix being built, and you see off on your right, hanging high in space, essentially, from your point of view, a moon that is just cracked, and you can see tons of debris, lunar debris and ship debris up that way. You see debris littering just littering the entire area of space in front of you that the Borg are building. The Borg are building these creations. And that is where you find yourselves. You are currently at station keeping far enough away that you should be able to avoid Borg sensors.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, quick question. As we warp in and we see everything going on, Whately is trying very hard to not detect anything, but we know how that works, and that doesn't work well. So what is Whately detecting?
Whately is detecting fear that is almost drowned out by this collective will of invasion of the quadrant. And don't roll. Let's look up your character, and I'm going to say don't roll. You're reaching out, which is, we're going to say insight, and it's going to be Man.
Well,
so you're totally
no, he's not reaching out. He's trying not to reach out.
You're trying not.
That's the point. Is he can't turn it off though? Like the rule book is very clear. He can't turn it off.
Yeah, so you can't turn it off. So roll. You have a 15. And I am going to add Baz. What can I do with threat?
I
have a bunch of
complication range. So if he rolls too high, then something really bad happens.
All right, I want to boost the complication range by 2. How much would that cost?
So that's 2 threat.
Okay, boom. Your have 2 dice, or you have a 15 is your target number. And you know what? I'm going to throw 2 more threat on there. 16 and above is complication, and 15 and below is good. You do not have any focuses that apply.
Okay, so it's 15, 1, 16 then for the roller.
So what? Now you said I don't have anything that plays into this. I beg to differ because one of his values is the good of the many. Would that not apply in this situation?
What can you do with the value, Baz?
You can use your determination for it to get an automatic crit.
That makes sense because he's trying not to pay attention. So he is determining to
in
not
addition
pay
to
attention.
whatever, repeat the roll that Kara put in the chat, and in addition to that, you automatically have 2 successes on this. No complications for successes to earn the group point of momentum. What's it called? Momentum, right?
I just want to address what Kara said in.
Wait! No, you earn the group 2. I was making you have 2 successes for that, so you earn the group 2 momentum.
I just want to address what Kara just said in game chat, and Waitley said she's the little old lady from Pasadena. No, that is not what Waitley's thinking. Waitley is
the main thing that you were wanting to avoid was a complication. So you did not get a complication, and that's good. So you feel this collective will of invasion of this quadrant beginning in this system. And it drowns out a system full of fear and anger.
I'm guessing as we warp into the system, this is kind of how I'm envisioning it. As we warp into the system, we get into orbit, or we're approaching the planet, and Waitley's just like he's mentally singing Bajoran childhood, or not Bajoran, Jesus, Betazoid childhood lullabies to himself to kind of, songs his mother sang to him as a child just to try to distract himself. And then he just gets this sudden, "We are the Borg, you will be assimilated, resistance is futile." And everyone on the bridge sees him do this. He's had his eyes closed, and suddenly he kind of leans forward in his chair, and he flips off the view screen, and he says, "Fuck you, I will not be assimilated." And then he apologizes. I'm sorry. You guys.
Graves just he doesn't even turn. He just basically holds up like a thumbs up, like just up in the air, and then that's his response.
Jenek over at the tactical console pipes up and says, "Sir, may I recommend that we reduce power and attempt to hide amongst the debris?"
That's a very wise tactical suggestion. Make it so.
The Klingon at operations, he doesn't have a name yet. He's had like 1 line in the whole show. The Klingon at operations goes ahead. the ops chief. He does exactly what you just suggested. He's pulling the power down. He's sending power over to Kara's station so that she can maneuver you into the debris of the area. And does anyone else want to be doing anything as the ship is drifting into the debris?
Kara is singing softly to herself under her breath as she maneuvers the ship around. She's obviously nervous, but it's helping keep her calm.
Quentin or Rick, anything you guys want to be scanning for?
Let's, well, I guess that
I'm thinking active sensors or
scans. I want to do some
bad idea.
engineering. Well, if we get some passive scans, I want to look at some look at the debris really and identify any energy signatures nearby.
Oh, of course, you got the wake up juice, Eli. Okay, Rick and Tin. Rick, your role is in engineering, and what would you say scanning be?
Depends, reason or control, depending in if you think it's more finesse.
Let's call it. In your case, it's the same. Your target is 16. Let's see. I spent 4 so far. Target is 16, and you're gonna let experimental technology apply. So your criticals happen on 5 or less.
I might get an extra die with momentum if everyone's okay with that.
3 successes. And Quentin, your numbers are going to be similar. Quentin, your number is 15, and don't see a focus applying unless you have one of the histories having something to do with the Borg.
One of the histories would probably be military history. So, okay. Yes.
Okay, I like it. You crit on. Both of you have a target. You need 3 successes to succeed. And your criticals are on 4 or less, and your 15 or less. So you're basically 1 less than Baz on both of them.
Can I use a momentum?
I have 2. My thought was you have 2, and you each need 3 successes.
So I'm using a momentum.
He's like, guys, I'm using a momentum here. We want some passive scans. Holy moly! That's got 3.
Sorry, that was cast. I keep mistyping. I keep typing roll, even though I know I'm not meant to type roll. I keep typing roll.
Baz got 3. No complications, no criticals, but no,
one crit.
1 crit, yeah. 1 crit brought you both to 3 successes. That's really, really wonderful. Passive scans. There is plasma and disruptor fire being exchanged over 100 kilometers away with near what would be to you looking out the view screen's left side of the view screen. It's far, far away. Plasma and disruptor fire. There is salvage that I was about to also say both of you could get 1 more die from the Reliant because the Reliant helps out. This is the one that makes both of you probably stop as your passive scans. You're beginning to float into the debris. There is a distress call that is farther away, a little bit. Let's call it a little bit closer. So maybe it's like 80 some kilometers away from you toward the right. There is debris, and there is a Borg sphere that seems to be kind of patrolling the area, and there's a freshly destroyed ship there. Not destroyed. Instead, the front half of its saucer section and looks like somebody grabbed it like a cookie and took a big bite out of it. The entire saucer section, every deck, looks exposed. You're picking up a lot of dead in that area. You're picking up some living people in that area, and the distress call. And both of you realize at the exact same moment with your 3 successes that is the USS Texas.
Someone should tell the captain.
Captain, picking up an emergency report from the Texas. She's in bad shape. We need to...
Kara gasps.
We need to... here are the coordinates. Rick is actually, for the first time, we've actually sort of seen him. He's a bit actually flustered.
Mm-hmm.
Kara's already moving the ship in that direction under low power. Hang on, Space Mom.
At this point, Marcus asks, is there any large debris in that area?
Kara looks back over her shoulder. There won't be in a minute.
There is a smoke sphere in the area. Just also.
What is the ship being attacked by?
Is no longer.
Oh, no longer intact. Okay, proceed there.
Look, the every reading tells you it is plasma damage and kinetic damage. Plasma damage it looks like plasma damage opened to burn, and then looks like a directed kinetic ray followed, immediately within the same weapon cycle, and just sliced the entire front of the hull off like it was a piece of pizza.
That is very Borg. So, yeah, we're going to proceed there. Be ready, Kara, for some creative use of arms and any debris that you find nearby if we need to provide additional cover for the Texas.
Already on it, sir. As she goes along, it's almost like a crab working its way through a beach. As she goes by bigger pieces of armor, she gently nudges them aside, keeping the larger chunks between her ship, the Reliant, and the Borg sphere.
Ooh, that's nice. Roll. Let's have a look at Kara's character sheet, shall we? Kara should roll Troll and Pawn. So 16 is your target number. You have a focus in piloting, and you spent time working on this. So
and I have an augmented ability control.
You are at a 16 is your target, and the 5 or less is your critical. The Reliant is adding 1 die. You can just add that to your roll, because the Reliant does move like the Reliant.
Well, I do have the one thing of, with the augmented ability control, I get a single automatic success, but my threat range is already increased from 20 to 19 to 20. Did you want to use any more threat on that?
Oh, hell yeah. I'll throw 2 more threat at that.
That should take it down to 17?
And your number is 16. So if you don't get successes, they are what are they called? Catastrophes or something.
Complications.
That's what they're called.
Okay, so I have 2 successes and 2 complications, but what does it take to reroll those complications?
Yep.
I was getting there, sir.
As what can we do here?
We can spend momentum.
As
I'm sorry. You can spend momentum to gain an additional dice, 1 for the first, 2 for second. We can spend some momentum to create a favorable situation with the roll.
What about re-rolling?
You can spend 2 after the roll for a single die re-roll. So
that would
take
us down to 4.
To re-roll all the dice. If you want to do
I would go with determination to re-roll.
I would too.
Yeah, because
I'll be honest. I would too.
Yeah. When the DM's telling you to spend a determination to re-roll the dice, re-roll the dice.
Yeah, but do any of my values apply? Because I can't use determination without a value.
Starfleet is family. You're on your way to see
Space Mom. Space Mom.
I mean, damn straight. All right, so going to be using the determination to re-roll at least one of them. Let's see how I go.
Wait, is it re-roll all the dice for determination or 1?
Re-roll all the dice.
Even the successes?
You get to you can keep the 1 success if you want to. You get to choose how many die you re-roll.
Yeah, that's what you could do.
Yeah, might as well keep that one.
Keep a success, 2 more successes, boom, and no complications.
That brings us to 4 successes, no complications. Yay!
And you manage to use these arms, and actually, Ensign Moon sends a couple of coordinates your way on places to possibly move some of the. So if you need to make any more rolls associated with that, he also will be adding a die as well as the Reliant. I forgot to mention.
Actually,
it didn't even occur to me.
Actually, this is his time to shine. Kara actually starts to make a mistake, but he actually reaches over with one of the arms and stops a piece of debris that would have been on a collision course with the sphere from his
Sounds great. He actually manages to keep it between you and the Borg sphere. The Nexus is now within scanning range, but you'll have to switch to active. You'll have to switch to active scans. Passive scans are showing. See, what was the crew of that size of ship? Probably around 600 or so, maybe 700. You are showing 47 life signs of Starfleet origin on the lower decks of the ship. As well as a number of Borg life signs on that ship.
Okay. Are there any pets left aboard? Any animals?
I like that Kara checks that. No.
Well, I guess that's not surprising, but.
Can I check? Did we manage to do our instructions from the captain earlier? Do we have any time to do that?
Yes, you guys have all of those things are for experienced officers, and the things that were asked are all yes set up. Cargo Bay 1 has what Cass said earlier. I heard or saw in the chat something about a fluctuating resonant field, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe Cass can jump in, and with Rick's help, you can also line that properly. And as as Ice is down there helping you as well. Two of you, he loves working with you. There are some industrial, like, cranes moving in some like big plates of metal and such into the cargo bay. I mean, you're going to be potentially beaming active Borg drones into this cargo bay, and at one point, a crane slips just the littlest bit, and a wall starts to tip, and he just reaches up with one hand, catches it, and then walks it back up to position and holds it while the rest of the crew put it properly into place. He's like, "You are both very, very thorough. I think that's probably a good thing in this situation."
I find it.
Beware falling barrels. You guys put that picture of Worf in before with the little thing with Worf in the falling barrel, and I had to put something in that was my version of a falling barrel. I'm glad that someone caught that. Thank you. And so yes, everything that the captain wanted set up is set up. And Eli, how many medical teams do you want down there with the security teams that are going to be down there?
How many people are in one medical team? You said 2?
2 per medical team. And you can have unnamed folk. You have the Tellarite nurse, who is unskilled. You have a physician's assistant who we've never named, and Dr. 3, of course, wants to be down there. She's also packing the field kits with what is needed to do that surgery in the field. She's doing a great job, but she doesn't talk very much, except she's proposed her plans, accepted the one that you thought was the best, and said, "And let's do this," kind of thing.
I have a out of character question. So on Voyager, it was very easy for Seven to get reassimilated. She doesn't have that problem so much later on. Where is Dr. 3 at on that? Is she safe to send out an away team?
You can go down to either the cargo bay or in sick bay while they're getting ready and ask her. Because she really does not seem super human. She doesn't seem very human at all.
So do I do that now? Kendra makes her way down to... Is she in the cargo bay right now?
Either or. It's a decision. She, after Eli and... so they're probably still in the med bay getting teams together. Basically, this is an all-hands-on-deck thing.
Kendra makes her way to the med bay. Dr. 3.
She looks up and does something that is probably a little bit amazing. Eli, you saw her packing the kits with everything that you needed. She's very efficient at it. She's looking at the kits as she does it. When Kendra walks in and says Dr. 3, she looks up. Her hands never stop moving, and the perfection of the way she's packing those med kits doesn't change. And she says, "Ender,
I don't know you well at all, but my impression of you is that you'll be brutally honest if I ask you a question."
That's true.
Do you think that you are in danger of becoming reassimilated if you go down in any more than any other crew member?
Yes. I have Borg nanites that are still a part of my system. It means that what the Borg would inject me with, despite being liberated, would act faster on my system. That would place me in more danger of being assimilated quickly, but no more danger of being assimilated than any other member of the crew.
Could you work as efficiently from the med bay if we beamed people who needed your help here?
I mean, you know that if we beamed people that needed your help here, and the Tellarite doctor grabs his med kit, he got this way about him where he bumps into you a lot, Eli. It's not like he doesn't do it like aggressively. But you know that he knows that he does it. He's just being like a Tellarite, trying to like be like, you're in my space. And he's like, I'm gonna go ahead and get down to the cargo bay, Doc. And a couple of the other doctors start grabbing their med kits, and he says, we were preparing to help the Borg that come aboard in the cargo bay.
Yep. I'm going to go with them. I'm going to be part of one of the teams. I'm not hearing anybody.
I'm typing a side comment.
It's because, and it's of course because Dr. 3 simply waits for someone to say something.
Well, she never answered my question.
What was your question that she didn't answer? I'm sorry.
If she could be as efficient working from the ship.
Oh, absolutely. That is where I will be of the most help.
All right. That sounds good then.
Although, he walks over to that little kit of hers. It has, it looks like a kind of, there's definitely a little bit of Borg technology in the lock. And that hand that has the 7 of 9 type of stuff on it, puts that hand on top, and out of her middle finger, out comes like a little key, and it pops open the kit. And she says, hesitate to part with these. She takes out 4 balls that have silver in color, and they have black stripe around the middle of them, but the stripe doesn't like expand off of them, the ball at all. And she says, twist them like grenades. And if you twist them like grenades and throw them at the Borg, it will slow them down. Daystrom tech right there.
Thank you. That will be very useful, I'm sure.
Yay, we got collective static grenades.
Hey, right?
Woot.
She then collects up with medical teams that Eli has together. Are we talking like 4 or 5 medical teams? You've got enough officers to maybe have even like 5 or 6. Everybody's,
I'm thinking about...
Yeah, 4.
Yeah, 4. 4 medical teams, 1 including myself.
1 including yourself, 1 including Dr. 3. And you guys head down to what Rick and Quentin have already finished of with Bryce earlier, and the ship now is drifting, as I said, in sensor range of the passive sensors are showing 47 ice signs that are not Borg, and it is showing dozens upon dozens. I mean, I could pick a number, but then I'd have to like make it exactly that number that you fight on the ship or something. But no, it's a lot of there are a lot of Borg on that ship, and the 47 non-Borg life signs are on the far lower decks of the ship.
Quick question.
Almost without power.
If we're beaming our people in, can we beam them out?
passive scans, you don't know.
Uh,
Once you switch to active scans, you'll be able to know.
yeah, but then there's that sphere. So,
Sir,
what about?
if we send in a small security team, we can set up some pattern enhancers. At that point, it should be easier to beam them out without being noticed by the sphere.
That would be good. How about? How close can we get to that ship?
How close do you want to get?
Can we dock? Or cut a hole?
Not with Kara. Your answer would be not with the Reliant. No way. The Reliant's just too big, and the sphere it's making a pattern now of scanning the area where the Texas is. It's like it's moving in a circle around that area. So possibly a smaller vessel.
Well, sir, we could get close enough and grab it, but that wouldn't do us any good, and it would get us noticed by the Borg. However, we do have a complement of shuttles, sir. I hear we've got a new one that's got a blast shield.
Yeah, that would be my second option. So we can certainly get the pattern enhancers working, but I also want additional escape options. So at least one or two shuttles should also attempt to couple with a ship, but at a point closest to the Texas, and ideally, well, let's see.
We might be able to dock in the star drive section, sir. That wouldn't be too far away from the survivors are, and if we could get them back to the docking bay, we could actually send them out on the transporter on the shuttle.
Bryce stands up at his console on the back of the bridge, and he says, "Captain, there are docked to me files of intelligence assets where we could basically be like slapping a comm badge on somebody and you'd have a transporter signal." And he and you can see, Kara, he is right now taking your advice to heart. He should not have said that.
I specifically told him not to ask for permission, but I suppose in this case he needs help. So yes, he is taking the advice.
No. In this case, yeah, he can't access the files that he's talking about, Marcus, but you see them. He sent them down so you can look at your your ARM console and see what he's talking about. He knows that there are basically transporter tags.
Yeah,
on people, but he access to call up the files to make the replicators make them.
I love this guy. Can we get 10 more like him?
We need those transporter tags. Also, I want the away team equipped with them. Can we automatically set them to activate and transport to the containment units if they detect signs of nanoprobes in the crew member wearing it?
It's obvious that he doesn't know from the actually has a very expressive look on his face. He literally can't unlock that file. There's only one person on this ship who can, and that's you.
I unlocked the file for him.
Unlock the file, and he says, with a little bit of modification, absolutely.
All right, let's get those emergency B-bound tags installed. Also, I need as large of a complement as possible for anyone we might find on that ship.
I can pilot the shuttle and I can handle a phaser, sir. I volunteer.
Let's see. I'll need actually. Oh, okay. So I've got Bryce as my tactical officer. So Janik,
No. Bryce is a security officer.
Okay. Well, can he also man tactical?
Can doesn't like it.
Okay.
I mean, it's not his deal. Everything he's done that you've seen him like, he's security. That's what he's used to.
Okay, so I'm definitely going to keep Janik on the bridge with me because I also want Green Dragoon firing torpedoes if I need someone to fire torpedoes.
Okay.
Yeah. Unless Green Dragoon really wants to go and get redshirted.
No, it's more of a question of clarification.
Okay.
See, I personally think And Baz doesn't have to include this, but I earlier mentioned that I think that this would be a perfect 6-person away team because this is the kind of thing that calls for multiple security officers. I think that Janik and Kendra and and Bryce should all be on this mission.
Okay.
I think Marcus is mostly just worried about who's going to fire the weapons on the ship when everybody else leaves.
It's a big space bar. It's not that hard.
Okay. So I can get support. So I know. So okay. So Janik is free to go on the away team.
Oh right, I forgot Tardigrade. We could call him up and have him man the weapons on the ship.
He's been given a special note.
Listen to
He's not skilled to it, but if worst comes to worst, Rick can do it. He's just not skilled in it.
We're about to beam onto a ship that has an absolute minimum of power. There's no one I think needed on this mission more than Rick Deere, perhaps, except for maybe.
Captain, I will probably need to go, given that we need to make sure the pattern enhancers can break through any interference plus any other unexpected problems.
Wait, could you say that one more time?
I probably need to go in order to compensate for any.
Very good idea.
Any variations in the brand new intelligence tech that you're arming the OAT with. 47 split 6 ways. What does that come out to be? Each of you is carrying like
7
or 8. Yeah, each of you is carrying like 7 or 8 pattern.
Hot damn, my lucky number.
So, that said, the Reliant Moon moves into the piloting seat, and he's actually very good at keeping Reliant in between. Keeping debris at varied levels in between Defiant and that sphere, and he also manages to kind of drift the ship so that when your shuttle launches, you're launching. You don't even need to more than like hit your power and then cut it, because you could drift and use maneuvering thrusters to make your way into their shuttle bay.
Kara gives him a quick slap on the shoulders. Moon, the Reliant's yours. It might remain yours.
So when you say Moon, the Reliant's yours, and in the shuttle bay, he basically gives you like the perfect shot at fire your thrusters, cut them, and then drift through the Texas.
And there is a question in chat. Do we need to replicate frequency modulators for our phases?
No, in fact, when he is preparing the security teams, there are rules in Starfleet Adventures for force fields. This a true thing?
Yeah, there was. I was looking at them. There's personal force fields. And
it's a beautiful thing. That is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. Because in the shuttle, you basically have one replicator unit to replicate your equipment with, and on the first thing he does when he steps aboard is you guys have all of the phaser weapons are being produced. There is a slight delay when you remodulate the weapons, but it should be able to keep up with the Borg's adaptation, is what he said. Is what Bryce says. He says these should be able to keep up with the Borg's with the Borg's ability to adapt to what we're hitting them with. He has these was saying, they're an attachment to your belt that produce a force field around you. You now have shields. He makes essentially armored vests for everyone, but they're not like Discovery armored vests. They're like a 2409 version of like those Discovery security vests. And he steps away, and everybody is able to get their equipment very quickly out of this thing. It's like he steps up, presses a button, presses 3 buttons actually, because he sets it so that all of your weapons come out with a remodulating setting. No, it's not the motion picture vests. But all 6 of you have essentially like a away team, sort of like slightly armored version of your normal uniform, and the vest in the style of something from 2409. He steps away with a phaser rifle of some kind. I think Janik and Kendra, you're both trained in security, and so is Kara. He steps away with some sort of an automatic laser rifle of some kind. It's pretty long. So you guys can all have everything you want for going on to the Borg ship in terms of all of that. And hang on and don't yell. Kara, you need to make one of those amazing piloting rolls, because it is, in this case, it is daring and con. So your number is 12. You crit on a 5 or less. I am going to use, how many players do I have tonight? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I am going to use 1 point of threat to up your catastrophe
application
range to 19 to 20. Things can get hairy. 1 success. It was all you needed. 1 success. Successfully fire the maneuvering thrusters and not have to use any of your main power except for minimum for life support. And drift yourself into the shuttle bay and activate the magnets on your on your shuttle so that you land and are secure in their shuttle bay. The power is down. You are going to have to engage helmets and magnetized boots until you can get on board the ship. It looks like at least here in the shuttle bay, it's open to space. And the
helmets on, people, and I want a comm check going. I don't want anybody going silent on us.
Waitley, what do you want to be reaching out and sensing at this point as the shuttle lands in the in the bay? What do you want to be trying to sense?
Or
not trying to sense, as the case.
Waitley is trying not to sense the Borg. We'll put it that way.
Can you focus on your team?
He is focusing on the team. He is trying to focus on survivors. He's trying to focus on because he's at a station on the bridge. He is trying to specifically and explicitly focus on where they need to go and who they need to save, so that he can tell them where they're at and what situation they're in. But he is doing everything he can do to not read the Borg.
Insight in medicine gives you a 15. Don't know why your focuses don't necessarily apply. Something is giving you focus benefit of 4 or less. So it's 15 with 4 or less being the critical. I'm going to spend my last point of threat on this. 19 or 20 are the bad times.
So complication of 2?
The complication of at 19 or 20. Which is going to be so much fun. Oh, man.
Well, you put the complication in wrong, Waitley.
Oh, did I?
Oh,
Yeah, the complication is supposed to be 19, not 2.
okay. There we go.
Oh,
in that case,
my bad.
In that case, it's simply 2 successes, no complications.
Yay.
Okay. Yeah, 2 successes, no complications. Survivors have diverted the power to the rearmost sections of the ship, which include engineering, a habitat area, station ops, which is on one of the low decks back there. Fortunately, the engine was not one of the things cut in 2. It simply, they just simply can tell that they have no power and that they're scared. Because you got 2 successes and not just 1, you can tell that there is at least one mind on that ship that is familiar, but you need to spend that last point of momentum that you have to get more information.
I'm with everyone's permission, I'm going to spend that point of momentum.
Do it.
I think we might want to hold on to that until we actually get into a combat situation. We're going to be rescuing everyone anyway.
Are you sure?
Well, hold on. What happened?
I suggest that this is one of those points in time that by spending 1 momentum, you can gain additional information.
And that's what I would like to do. But we now have.
So how many momentum do we have?
1.
It's your last point for right now.
Okay, so Marcus can spend a point of determination to generate 2 momentum if you really need it.
Okay, that assuages me. Go right ahead.
Is that a consensus? Because I think we've established we don't like to spend momentum without a consensus.
Go for it.
Do it.
Do it now!
Do it now, my gosh. All right. Is your question the one that I see in chat? Do you feel Space Mom?
Yes.
The question. That's what I thought would probably. I just checking and all.
You did say I sensed someone familiar, but I couldn't tell who they are.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's who it is, so I'm reaching out to that sense of familiarity.
There is a reason that the Borg are the Texas. You are sure the Texas went down very recently. This was a very recent attack, and that this all happened very suddenly. And that call of Borg is the reason that they are assimilating this Starfleet ship so efficiently. And that's the call of Borg has a very familiar mind. That's Space Mom.
Waitley is going to go against his better judgment because, contrary to popular opinion, he does actually give a shit about people. He is going to focus on her.
That really
he
does.
Is going to locate her.
She is advancing on the lower decks. You have with those successes and the more and the momentum for more information.
I see what you did there, by the way.
she is with a contingent of Borg who are who are fast assimilating the Texas from the inside out. You can now see from like the Borg's point of view where that kinetic cutting beam sliced the saucer in half. It's beginning to start, like, Borg stuff is starting to grow over the edges of the ship, where it was cut, and they are advancing down to the lower decks. You can tell immediately she is in charge, or they are in charge, or Call is in
She's
charge.
in the front.
Yeah, in the front, in charge. And they do not consider the survivors below any sort of a threat. You are aware before you leave her mind that she is calculating a new threat as they are assimilating the decks, and you see her boom down to the next deck along with her crew of Borg assimilating the ship. And the idea here is the way to see it is, imagine like a deck of a Starfleet ship, and the Borg just moving along the walls like ants, like sticking tubules into the walls, into computer panels, and just dozens of them, some of them wearing Starfleet uniforms, assimilating the ship, and that it's a terrible thought to me. It's like they're making the ship into a zombie.
We've all seen First Contact. I'm pretty sure we all have a good visual of this. All right, so
and Waitley, you're back in your own head, because you think that had you stayed any longer, like trying to figure anything more out, you don't have any more momentum. But you're like, you think if you had stayed any longer, that would have been a bad thing.
All right,
but you at least know what they're doing over there.
If I recall correctly, Graves is leading this team, right?
Indra.
No, I'm on the ship.
Oh, who's leading the team? I missed that part.
Indra.
Okay, so
Waitley, Graves, Ensign Moon, and an unnamed officer at Tactical.
So because this is just how Waitley is, it would be quicker and easier for him to do this than to actually tap his comm badge and speak. And because he has the familiarity with Kendra that he has, he's just going to shoot right into her brain and tell her everything he got.
Oh, Kendra, you're on the shuttle just as it docks, and just as Kara has said, helmets on and let's keep comm checks. And when you say helmets on and let's keep comm checks, Bryce taps the control on. There's a control on the front of armor. It's just kind of like a button that you tap. It's not even really a button. It's something you tap, and a helmet does like that science fiction like forms over your head thing, and he gets his rifle ready, and he says, "You still need to breathe," and stands at the door ready to head on to the ship. And that's when you get this burst in your mind from Waitley saying, "Kendra, this is what I just found," and everything that you just heard, I think is what he tells you all of it.
No!
Ma'am, we're ready for the order to advance. Kara is with Bryce holding a position near the door, ready to sweep out into the bay and check for Borg.
Commander, you're right.
Yes.
The last thing Kendra hears before Waitley cuts his psychic link, cuts his half of the psychic link, because he's going to be, paying attention, is I believe you and I both agree that this is an extreme priority.
Yeah, and you unfortunately just got a very, very hard emotional and mental shove. And
you're like, okay, this, yep, okay, and
He's a counselor and a therapist. He's used to it.
And away team, your helmets form, and the Bryce looks back and says, "Do we have a go?"
Yes.
The sound of the air escaping from the shuttle fills the air, even though in space there is no sound, just because it's sci-fi cool.
The audience can hear it.
The audience can hear it.
I just want to note, I didn't tell anybody.
I know.
You guys all know something's wrong, but you don't know what's wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And he moves out, and Kara and anyone else moving out. He is a security officer. He is sweeping that shuttle bay, and he back and forth as he moves forward like 4 or 5 steps.
Kara recognizes someone who's better than her, so she stays behind him and simply covers any blind spots he has.
At the other end of the bay, they're not coming this way.
Sorry, 3 what?
Little people. Work.
Kara motions to Janek and Bryce so that each of them can line up and take a shot at the Borg across the bay.
Janek prepares and to take aim. Holds and waits for his order to fire.
Kara does likewise and waits for Bryce's order.
Bryce looks back at Kendra and says, "We don't have to engage them if they're not Starfleet and if they're not engaging us."
We're going to try and kill as few people as possible doing this. If possible, use stun. If not possible, try to incapacitate, not kill.
Should we have someone at least watch the shuttle since there are Borg in the area?
He keeps his gun. He's still looking through the sight as Bryce steps back over to the ship, and he goes, "Don't you know?" And he taps something on the side. The doors close, and you see the shuttle. You basically see this. It's a blast shield, and it comes down over the front of the shuttle, and it comes down over the side, and he goes, "Blast shields."
Oh, so that is the new one. Well, I guess our ride is safe for a while.
Say, "Oh, so that is the new one. I guess our ride is safe for a while." And he goes, "We have the best in the fleet." He holds his gun up again and he says, "Yeah, they're not coming this way."
All right, ma'am, you take point. The rest of us will cover you. Rick, please look around for any place you can get some power going on this tub.
So, would Rick have a chance to get the schematics for the Texas?
I have the schematics for the Constitution refit class, certainly. Any special adjustments to the Texas? No. But,
all right.
You could quickly find this is the way the Constitution refit was laid out.
All right. So our goal is to get to the survivors first, correct?
Correct.
All right. So I will. Rick will examine we'll have examined the schematics and have a rough idea where to go. So he will direct them down whatever appropriate corridor, and looking for like any external like power supply things that he can put in to open doors or whatever if he needs to.
there are still a large number of Borg at the front. You're coming in, essentially imagine you're coming in the middle of the wreckage. And
okay, so how many? Okay, so there's a lot of. So we're just gonna have to.
I know what I can do. I know what I can do. I'm not a great drawer, but I make drawings sometimes.
Meanwhile, while you're drawing, Kara's just looking back at the Borg. You know, it's really creepy that they're just standing there. It's like they don't even notice us.
You're looking through the sights of your gun. That's entirely what it feels like. It's like they don't even notice you.
Honestly, if they were to come charging at us, screaming, that would be less creepy. She stopped sighting through the gun, just in case. Better to not accidentally shoot someone.
Okay. Like I said, my name is Simon, and I love to do drawings. This is absolutely just terrible, but should definitely be shared with the show because it's so terrible, Baz. This is the basic idea. I'll be done in just one little tiny moment. You guys coming in.
This is the part of the show where Rick is probably futzing with the cover of a Jeffries tube or something, so don't worry. This would be...
This is also general information that you guys would be able to have. I just, yes, this is about to seem, oh goodness, it's totally a chalk drawing. But you know what? Chalk drawings are cool.
You work with what you have.
All right, so here's another question. Would Jeffries tubes be able to get us there in reasonable time?
Absolutely. So, here is what you have. The entire front half of the ship, the big red thing, all of the saucer inside of there is gone. As you can see, it would have cut the bridge in half too. And the ship is just listing in space, fumes and power conduits just leaking plasma out into space around the ship, and the shuttle bay on the Constitution classes were high up on the back and close to the kind of close to the saucer. What you have is up in the saucer, there's still a lot of Borg life signs up there. Some of them very well may be Starfleet. You do not know. The ship had a complement of 600-ish people. You know there are only 47 on here that are not Borg right now. When you come in, there's still a lot of Borg. The front of the ship ahead of you, you have, let's say, 11. How many decks did a ship like this have? What deck would engineering be on? Deck 8? Maybe? And then there would be like 2 more decks below it. So you need to get down to deck 9, which is in the same area of the ship that you're in. And the best you're going to be able to do in getting there, if you want to try to restore power, if any of the individual areas on the ship, like laboratories or med bay, have independent generators, you might be able to restore power there.
All right. So in terms of breathability and what's the word? Life support. How is that?
Shift from
that?
See where the red circle intersects the saucer. Come back closer to where you are, which is the blue star, and make another circle that's about halfway between. Everything behind that still has life support. Minimum still has life support. Most of the power, though, is being shunted below Deck 9 and below. It looks like there are force fields in place around engineering, but they are super weak. Boom. Thank you, Cass. Look at that. How many decks, man? There's a crap ton of decks.
28.
Okay, so there's
51. Okay.
That's 51 places that the MSD goes to, but it's still a lot of decks. We're gonna say, you know what? I'm gonna go with it's everything below Deck 9 and below is where most of the power for life support is being shunted, and there is. It's like somebody saying we can't afford to take force fields around engineering down. So there are still force fields there. You don't think this ship has a whole lot of, life or power left in it. And all of you step off of the shuttle bay, which, imagine walking in magnetized boots in armor with, these cool, 2409 helmets, and, you're floating across shuttle bay and looking out at both ends, looking out at the back end of the shuttle bay. There is simply no force field in place. That's just space there. And toward the front of the 500 crew, thank you. Toward the front of the shuttle bay, 3 Borg appear to be assimilating shuttle docking control systems. As you're leaving, Quentin, that's an easy scan for you to make. That's what they are assimilating at the other end of the bay, is docking control systems at this point. 3 of them in the bay. And all of you now move on to the decks of a Constitution-class refit ship. Movie Enterprise, essentially, with 2409 feel to it. And,
like usual, Kara can't keep her mouth shut. She just looks at everybody. Everybody know the whole little rhyme, shave, and a haircut? We get to someplace inhabited. Make sure you knock on the door with that so that they know we're not Borg. I don't want to get shot by Starfleet today.
Well, first we need to get there, and can we access Jeffrey tubes easily enough to bypass as much of the Borg and get downstairs?
I have no threat left. I don't do the double the amount of. Maybe I should start doing it. Double the amount of players that I have. I do it equal to the amount of players that I have. And in this case, as you'll simply need to make. We're going to call it reason and security. No, reason and engineering. Giving you a target number of 16. None of your focuses apply.
Alright. So this is just be a straight roll.
You need 1 success.
Oh.
That's terrible.
Do you need some... Oh, wait. Rick has his determination, right?
No, I used it.
Oh.
I can spend a point of my determination.
Can anybody help?
To give you 2 momentum.
Oh, this is beautiful.
Okay,
right.
So I can only re-roll one of these because I got 2 complications, nat 20.
Mm-hmm.
Normally that would be great in D&D and everything else, but...
I know, right? Here we go. I love it.
I think this has got to stay because you can't really do anything.
I think,
Didn't
turn that into threat.
If Whately is observing this, is there anything he can do to help?
Nope, not at all.
Damn it.
Because you don't know any more than Rick knows. Rick, as far as Rick is concerned, the Jeffries tubes that he that he has found should get them down to Deck 8 and engineering pretty quickly, with a minimum of interaction with things that are occurring on the deck, on the decks of the ship. Rick, you are confident that
Can I use
you on Deck 8.
threat to reroll one of those?
Do what? You want to give me some threat? Give me some threat? Absolutely. How much threat do I get?
That's the only option we have. Like, this is something I don't really want to, mess up.
I mean, to be fair, we have noticed that Hippie is really bad about using threat.
Oh, no. I know exactly what the threat would be used for this time.
Okay, so I do get one success.
One success and one complication, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You are certain you have found a proper bunch of Jeffries tubes that will put you down onto Deck 8. Deck 8 is engineering. I know that's probably not what it really is. I didn't look at the schematics. But you know that's the engineering deck. That's the top engineering deck, actually. That's the deck that there are force fields being kept over that part of the engineering deck. Deck 9 is the bottom of the engineering deck, and that's getting life support. And there are people down there. The best that you found that you can do is get yourself down to Deck 8, and you have two options. You can either put yourself good distance away from engineering. Not like too terribly far, but you don't have to drop down like right in front of engineering on Deck 8. You could also potentially, because they're so low power right now, you could potentially go through the force fields that are protecting engineering on Deck 8. What do you want to do?
So if we go through the shields, they're likely to fail, or would they just likely to?
No, you think you're positive you could do that without making those shields fail because they're so low power.
Okay.
It would be like a site transport through a really good door lock. Not gonna matter, kind of thing.
Okay. Well. Let's do it. Let's go through the low power shields.
Okay. So
are we all following him through the Jeffries tubes?
It does seem. Bryce will say it does seem to be a good option if we want to avoid any of the Borg that are ahead of us, because there are some. He's looking at his tactical scanner and putting it back on his belt because there are some. And you can tell he means there are a lot.
All right, Baz, you lead the way. Or Rick, sorry.
Rick leads the away team down through Jeffries tubes. This is incredible. This is such like a tense, like I'm imagining like that tense moment in a horror movie when you feel like something's about to go wrong, and it was not wrong going through the Jeffries tubes. Oh man, does it ever make things go quick and without incident? And you drop down right into Deck 8, right in engineering, and you can see the force field. It's so low power that it's flickering. It's blue flickering color. You can really only see around the door of the room and surrounding the top of the warp core. There are no Borg in here.
Yet.
Then, door to engineering flicks open. As in, like, something unlocks the door to engineering, and the door rises up, and through this flickering blue force field, you see Captain Jordan Cole, Borgified, with a dozen Borg standing on the other side of that flickering blue light, and she says, "Our biological and technological distinctiveness will be added to our own. Resistance is futile." Down. It's 3 hours a game.